All right, big week, McNeese week. A game that a lot of our fans have been looking forward to for quite a while. We have not had the most success against those guys toward the end of that series, and so we're hoping as a team and as a program that we can compete much better and hopefully play well. I know their fans are going to travel over here, bring a great crowd. We're going to need a great crowd. It's going to be a great environment. But our players, they know the importance of this game, and they're already working hard, trying to overcome a little bit of adversity from this past weekend. But I know this: these guys, they know the type of team that we have, and we're determined that we're not going to be defined by one game. And so, we're excited about moving forward. We've got a team that's hurting, that's excited to get back to practice today, along with us coaches. And we're looking forward to an outstanding McNeese team coming to town this weekend. Any questions?
After watching Saturday's game, was there something you saw on tape that led to your decision?
Yeah, it was, last year, I didn't feel like we played up to our expectations last year, but I'd hoped that with some of the new signees that we had signed and brought in, some of the increased personnel that I would see a little bit of a different look, obviously, and feel a little bit better about it. But it just didn't happen. And I owe it to these seniors and to these guys that's worked extremely hard since January to give them an opportunity to have a great season. So us as coaches, we've got to do a better job putting them in positions to be successful. And at that point, I just didn't think we were doing that, and decided to make a change. I really appreciate Coach Smith, though, and the work that he had done in this program, because he had done a lot of work, not only on the field, but off the field to me, which is just as important because he has transformed some lives on this team. He has been a great role model, not only for our players, but for our coaches, man of faith, man of character, and he will land back on his feet. So that was a tough call to make, to say the least. But he's meant a lot to a lot of people, so we definitely wish him and his family well.
Being on your fourth defensive coordinator now, what do you think is the common theme that's been biggest behind the issues that you've had? Is it the front? Is it scheme in general?
A couple. Every year there's been times when I thought we've played good defense, and then there's been days that I do not feel like we had. Some years it's been because we turned the ball over a lot. Some of those things maybe led to not playing as well as we'd have liked. But for us in the last 2 years, last year and this year, it's just been the lack of causing turnovers and giving up big plays in the passing game. I want us to be a sound team. Teams these days in college football, it's hard to stop everything. But if you make teams take it piece by piece by piece, a little bit at a time, all the way down the field, a lot of times they'll self-destruct when you make a team go 10 and 12 play drives. But when they're getting easy gainers, we're not being competitive enough in goal line situations, then that falls back on us. And so we've got to do a better job there. So it's a lot of underlying factors, maybe either way. Just like last year, we weren't as productive offensively as we had been. So, every year you're trying to be the best you can be, put the best personnel in the right positions that you can to be successful.
There's so much of a turnover from the DC standpoint. How difficult is it for the players to adjust to that, or is it anything?
It's probably not as much as you may think. It's more terminology, but we're not going to change any terminology. When you line up and play a nose or a 3 technique or a 5 technique or a 6, those things don't really change. It's just the techniques are, for the most part, the same. Some coaches may teach them a little bit different, but it's still about being a gap sound defense, regardless if it's 3-3, 3-2, whatever the case may be. It's about being gap sound, and that's what I want to make sure we're more than anything. It's gap sound. We don't give up the big plays. We fly to the ball, and we cause turnovers.
Do you expect personnel changes as well as this?
Possibly, yeah. There may be some, yes.
Any clues, or is that kind of?
Yeah, no decisions made yet.
How key was it to have a guy like Mike who's been a defensive coordinator and been most of the defensive coach?
No, we got a guy that's got a lot of experience, especially being a defensive coordinator. So it's not his first time managing a room of coaches, putting a scheme together. He'll do an outstanding job. I got a lot of faith in Coach Lucas, and we still got obviously Coach Harbison, who's been a big part of our staff and done a great job, and Coach Harbin, and then our graduate assistant. Some of those guys' roles are increasing. So I still have a lot of faith in our guys, and I think we're going to see a difference and get our guys in the right positions in the future.
Making a decision like this so early in the season, how much of complication does it give you as a coach trying to lead guys in a new direction?
The only complication it gives me is some heartburn, and high blood pressure. But it's I just felt like why wait? I didn't want to wait to 3 or 4 games from now, and then it's too late. I feel like that we have got a really talented team of kids that are playing hard for us, and I just wanted to give them every opportunity to be successful. Every goal is still intact except for win every home football game. But if we finished up and won the rest of our home football games, I'd be pretty proud about that. But every other goal is intact for our team, and that's why I wanted to do it now, so we have the opportunity to reach those goals.
You weren't here last time McNeese and UL played. What have you heard about this rivalry? What have you been told about it?
Well, one is the universities are so close together that I heard it was a pretty heated rivalry, obviously, to say the least. And from my vantage point and learning about the rivalry, it's always seemed to go in swings where one university had the series for a while, then it flips to the other university. And it wasn't a whole lot of back and forth every year. It seemed to go in series. And I think it ended up mostly with, if I'm not mistaken, with McNeese owning the majority of the last times that they'd won, the last little bit at least. And so we've got to try to compete better, and because they're going to come in fired up, and we know their players know us. That always adds to a rivalry game. We recruited a lot of their players. They recruited a lot of our players, and they're all from the same area. They've got players on their team right here from Lafayette and Acadiana. And so anytime you have all those factors involved, it'll make for a big game, and they're going to travel a great crowd. I think they had 22,000 this past week for their home football game against a Division II school. So that's amazing by their fan base.
Coach, it was kind of, you look at the stats of that game, it wasn't real close. The score wasn't even, the stats were worse than the score.
Right.
Is it hard to gauge what you're about to face because of that? Or?
A little bit. They've got an outstanding team, and they've got a transfer quarterback that we already obviously know of. We recruited him out of high school some, and then obviously went to Arkansas State, and I think he's an outstanding player, throws a really good ball. They've got, to me, the best D lineman we may face this year, period, including some of the other schools we'll play. Isaiah Golden is a guy that can change the game just by himself. And the center from Tarleton State probably has got his forehead still tattooed to his. Because this guy is physical, he's tough, and he's a difference maker in the trenches. And so we'll have our hands full with this guy. And they've got some speed. They've got some transfers that they've taken. They're outstanding players. And then Lance has done a great job there coaching. We know of Lance. Obviously, he's been at some good programs and had good defenses when he was at Western Kentucky. And his scheme is awfully hard to prepare for. And he's sort of known for his own scheme. I think he sort of put his stamp on what he does because you don't see it every day. It makes it tough to prepare for. And he gets a lot of guys flying to the football and playing awfully hard.
What did you guys see from Tabry when you recruited him out of high school? And I know he didn't play against you guys last year at Arkansas State.
Right.
What did you see from him?
Outstanding passer, throws a very good football, and a very heady kid. And he's gonna be a heck of a player for those guys, no question about it. I know he's excited to be back in this state of Louisiana, and he'll come in here and I'm sure be ready to compete at a very high level.
You mentioned Guidry's defense, hard to prepare. What specifically makes it difficult for scheming?
Well, one, a lot of pressure, a lot of people at the line of scrimmage, and they got that really good nose guard in Isaiah Golden, and if you single block him, you're in trouble. And then if you double him, you're leaving other people unblocked. And so it's sort of pick your poison. And so they lock you down, they come get you, and they run to the football extremely well. And they're a well-coached football team.
Talk about the McNeese defensive line. Do you expect any changes in your offensive line of a group that struggled last week?
For our group?
Yeah.
Yep. Last week we played some young kids, and other than the false starts that we made that set us back, we had penalties on the first drive. I think first drive we went to a 1st and 25 on a chop block, and then we had 4 false starts, all by freshmen, where they were stemming, and give them credit, they got away with it. I do the same thing if we could get away with it. And they got our young kids on that. But Kevin Dotson will start at right guard today, this week. And he had a phenomenal game. He has got a lot of power, and he's going to play. We'll also still give Goodacre a little bit of playing time also, because he didn't play poorly. Kevin just played exceptionally well when we did the right things. Not that Goodacre didn't play well at all. Goodacre's still going to play a lot this year and be a really good player, but we're going to start Kevin Dotson this week at right guard.
Do the players get more hyped up for these in-state rivalry games, seeing former teammates and things like that?
Probably a little bit. Yeah, I would think so, because they're going to be playing against guys they know, that played against in high school, played against, familiar with. That always adds to it. And then when it's a great crowd, that always adds to the spirit of the game too. And it'll be a great crowd, and that's always exciting. So it'll be our kids will be ready to play. They'll be hyped up.
I know fans might be frustrated about the first game, but Anthony Jennings, perspective-wise, actually seemed like he had a pretty decent game settling into your offense with no turnovers.
Yeah.
How pleased were you with his way to adjust?
I thought Anthony Jennings played outstanding. Took care of the football, 0 turnovers, completed most of his passes. I think he had 250 yards total offense. He had every yard that we had except for Eli's 60 or 70 yards. So he was involved with just about every yard that we had, made good catchable throws, managed the game well, and he's only going to get better as he gets more comfortable in what we're doing. And but I thought he sat in the pocket with nice poise, and didn't look like he had quick feet, and didn't panic, and sat in there, and even a couple times, got sacked, but he was trying to find the right guy. But on the first play of the game was a great example of what I was proud of. First play of the game, goes through his progression, gets a little pressure. Last second, dumps it to Eli, which is what he's supposed to do. Eli turns and goes for about, 10 or 15 yards. And so just a real headsy play, and he's only going to get better. But real pleased with his first game.
What do you want to accomplish offensively that you were not able to on Saturday? And do you ideally want to be more vertical than you were, or is that just not possible personally?
No. One thing we want to do is we want to be way more consistent. We cannot stop our momentum with penalties. It's hard to be a tempo team and a momentum team when you're having false starts and the clock is stopping and you're resetting, and we just never got in a rhythm. And that's what it's football. You've got to get in a rhythm, and then when you got a play called for 2nd and 3, and all of a sudden you're offsides. Now it's 2nd and 8. You're having to change it to a different play because it's a new situation. Those things just lead to not being very consistent. And so, but our young receivers, I thought they grew up a little bit. Keenan Barnes had the big catch in the end zone where he dove, and I think that's given those kids a lot of confidence. Like I said, we're talented, we're long, we're just very young. Michael Jacquette grew up a little bit, had a couple nice balls, and then Jamarcus Bradley. They found him on a couple scramble routes where he got open. So those kids are only going to get better. And then now this week you mix in Gary Haynes, and I think he'll be a difference maker for us this week.
What about the vertical part of it?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can do that too. We had a couple of them called that we either got sacked or just didn't like the look. So sometimes it's not because we didn't throw them, maybe it's because of other situations. But we definitely have got some guys that we think can stretch the field, and we definitely need to do that.
McNeese had 14 different guys take passes against calls. Part of that was because the game got kind of out of hand late.
Right.
How do you prepare for so many different guys that come off the bench and what they can do vertically?
Well, they've got a lot of talented kids, and that's the misconception about FCS teams. They've got Division I players all over that team, and they're an outstanding team. And they've got, like I said, a stable full of wide receivers, but they throw it to the backs, the receivers. And their quarterback, give him credit, does a great job spreading it around. Now, will they throw it to that many guys every game? You know, I doubt it. You know, when we having a blowout game and we're winning pretty big, we're going to get a lot of people in the game just like they did, and give them a chance to play. But the ones that they're counting on are really good players.
Coach, the offensive line, when things didn't go well other than the offsides, was it getting beat by a better, more experienced football player, or was it just a lot of misassignments?
No, a little bit of both. You know, we got some young kids going up against some pretty good defensive linemen that they had, but also we held our own in some ways too. We had some plays when we go back and watch the film that we really felt pretty good about. There was times that we gave Anthony some pretty good time to throw the football, and that was impressive by a young group, especially two freshman guards. And they'll only get better. And but I think our offensive line, like I said, at the beginning of the year, they're not there yet. They're young. We got 2 new starters at both of the guard spots, but I really feel like this group's only going to get better as they continue to play, and they better get better quick because they're going against a really good D-line this week.
After a tough game like that, is it nice to have a guy like Anthony that's been through kind of the ringer of college football for 4 years to come out?
You know, yeah, he was great after the game, and he's a kind of guy that, you know, and he had a good thing about put it in perspective. You know, sometimes you can't. Some guys get too high and some guys get too low. You sort of got to keep a good even keel, and he had a good perspective, and he's ready to go back to work. That's one thing that I really have admired about him as much as anything is his work ethic, his attention to detail, the way he studies the game, and he'll have a great week of practice, and he'll be ready to go.
People on the bright spots on defense. It seemed like Oath Peters had a really impactful performance. Are you going to lean on him in practice, kind of tell him to step up?
Yeah, Oath is always, to me, going to play pretty good, and he played physical, played well. The guy that really just stole the show was Travis Crawford with 10 tackles. That guy was all over the field and gives an unbelievable effort also on special teams. And so there's a lot of guys that did some good things. But we've got to do a better job, though, this week of putting those guys in position to be more sound and in position to make plays.
Savion's injury is
He practiced last night. We'll practice today. He'll be 100% on Saturday.
Okay, anything else?
All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. Appreciate it.
Thank you.